Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Clark, and this is the first episode of a real estate video series that I will be exploring this year in 2025, as it's been a thought for a few months now. And now that it's the new year, we're in January 2025, I'm making it a goal. So what is this series going to be about? It's going to be about real estate, exploring all the different careers within real estate. I've been working property management going on a little over 3 years now. I graduated UMass Amherst back in 2021, and since graduation, I've been working in property management. And this idea first came to me a couple months ago as I've been out and about meeting new people, and inevitably the question comes up, what do you do for work? And when I say I'm in real estate, the first assumption a lot of people make is, am I a real estate agent? Am I a broker? Do I sell houses, etc.? And I think that's because there's a lot of stuff out there on TV, online, about selling houses, being a real estate agent. And now that I've been in the industry for 3 years, I realized that there is so much more to real estate than just that I want to spread that. I want people to realize that there's so much depth to it. And to give a brief summary in terms of the different concentrations is you have development. You have the teams that go in, take a piece of property or an old building, and they develop it. And that itself has so much to it. Then in order to fund a lot of these development projects, you have to have a finance investment side of things. So we'll go and explore that as well, how these projects get funded, the different styles of funding. A lot of times you'll hear, similar to getting a mortgage on your house, you'll get a loan from a bank or a pension fund, or maybe you create a syndicate of a bunch of outside investors, of individuals or companies that want to put their money somewhere other than the traditional equities of the stock market. So they'd rather put it in real estate, get some return, and also see the impact that it has in a tangible way. Then once you have the money, you have the plans in terms of permitting through development. There's obviously the construction aspect of real estate. And this alone, you're going to have general contractors, subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, and the general contractor will also work in hand with the architects, engineers, to make sure that the building is constructed per the plans and in a safe manner. I mean, there's stories of like, for instance, when they were building the John Hancock Tower and they were putting in the glass windows high up, that they didn't gauge properly how much sway there was with the wind. So some of the glass windows were actually falling out of the window frames and all the way down onto the street level, which is scary. But a lot of times you learn from these and you make sure that next building, you account for these potential factors. So construction is a huge thing. Construction is really cool too. From my personal experiences, I've seen as it takes so many different types of groups to come together to build something amazing, especially when you're talking into the city. You're building these skyscrapers that take years to build, and you have just so many different groups of people coming together to make it a reality. Then once a building is constructed, you have to lease it up. A lot of times the leasing process for these big buildings happens prior to the building being built, because when you're going for a loan or you're trying to get some money from individuals or a group, they're going to want to know what the return on the investment is going to be. And you have to say, hey, we already have this anchor tenant. They're coming in. They're willing to lease X amount of square feet. So when this building gets built, it won't be completely vacant, because that's kind of the worst nightmare, where you build this building, you put a ton of money into it, and then it's vacant and it's just a black hole for all your money to pretty much disappear. So leasing is extremely important. There's so many different types of leasing. I mean, you can lease big office towers, labs, retail, residential. So at the end of the day, it's sales. Then once a building is constructed, operational, that's where kind of my experience comes in, being on the property management side. That's the day-to-day operations, anything from vendor management, security, janitorial, to tenant / residential management, helping individuals who live at your property if they have any issues. And then also when you're dealing more on the commercial side, your clients, your tenants come to you sometimes with issues, and you're there to help problem solve. It's very dynamic, which is awesome. Every day is different. And that's what I like about it so far. So I'll probably have some other individuals that I've worked with in the past to talk more about property management. I won't go too in depth right now, but with property management, you're going to have a facilities team, a maintenance team, engineers, janitorial. So there's a lot of different groups that come together to make sure a building is running as effective as possible and optimal. Then kind of similar to property management, but a little bit different, is asset management. I'm not too familiar with this, so I'm looking forward to exploring this. My brief understanding of what asset management is and how it differs from property management is you'll see asset managers a lot of times with private equity firms. Private equity firms will buy up a lot of real estate, as it's a good way to invest their money. And with that comes, let's say, an individual who lives out in Texas, and this private equity firm has multiple buildings. Buildings equals assets. A building equals asset. And let's say you have 5 different buildings throughout the country. This asset manager is probably overseeing all 5 of those buildings from a higher level. He or she is not directly on site, but he or she is more so maybe working out of Texas, visiting sporadically, and then talking to the property management teams who are on the day-to-day on site, just to see how everything is working. They'll review the budgets, they'll review potential capital expenditures, or if the private equity firm wants to invest in a big capital project, a capital expense, then that asset manager is going to be the one that's overseeing that. The asset manager, my understanding, their responsibility is to make sure that these assets are operating at the optimal level and working with the property management team. A lot of times with asset management and these private equity firms, they'll hire a third-party property management team. So that'd be like, I own a company, I own a couple buildings, I'm the asset manager, but I'm not there day to day. So I'm going to hire, let's say, a Cushman Wakefield or a third party who will bring their team in, do all the property management tasks, and then report back to me. Then some other cool avenues are, there's a lot of times a creative branding studio aspect where a lot of companies are intentional how their places want to be felt from the public. So you have these individuals that come in, they do the mood boards, the look, feel of the property, and really cater that experience to what the company wants. Then kind of going hand in hand with creative is marketing. So marketing could be anything from email marketing to social media marketing, to just getting the name out there to attract potential new tenants, to keep tenants, to attract patrons, etc. So marketing is a big play. Signage, things along that nature. Then you also have the accounting department. Accounting is super important, making sure that assets equal liabilities, making sure the numbers check out. This involves budgets, this involves reconciliations, quarterly financial reports to investors, for example, helping out with that, and then also paying invoices, making sure that there's enough money in the bank to pay all the expenses. And then another big part in real estate is law. This is another one I'm not too familiar with, but this could be anything from contracts with vendors, for example, even leases, to litigations with people potentially suing. Inevitably, there's going to be disputes between parties or a tenant and a landlord, which will sometimes require legal litigation, and that's just the way it is. So then that's why you have law. A lot of times people will have out-of-house lawyers, so they'll hire a firm to represent them. Sometimes companies will have it in-house, or they might have a hybrid. They might have a few lawyers in-house and then some for the larger projects, or if they need help and different expertise, then they'll reach out to a third party to help out. Similar to accounting too. I mean, any of these you can do in-house or out-of-house. It's truly whatever the company's preference is. And I don't know if there's one right way or the other. Granted, I'm still very, very new to the industry. And this is part of the reason why I wanted to start this series, is because I really enjoy real estate and learning. And through this, while I learn, I can help you at home learn with me if you're interested in this as well. Because as I've just described, there are so many different concentrations. And let's say you have a finance background, there's something for you. Let's say you're a sales background, there's something for you. Let's say you're more creative, there's also something for you. So there's a lot more to real estate, and hopefully I can spread that. So the goal of this is to start off within real estate. And my goal, my vision in my head right now is to have somebody that has worked in each of these concentrations for some period of time. That might be a year, that could be 10 years, who knows, and just have them on to ask them. I'll ask them questions, pick their brain, and see exactly what they do on a day-to-day, and just allow us to become more knowledgeable. And then potentially, I mean, all things business, I really enjoy. So we'll start off with real estate, see how it goes, and then potentially we could expand to all businesses. This is my first solo podcast. I used to do a little podcast with my brother Davis called Inspire. So who knows where this could go. But right now the plan is to solely focus on real estate, get some people on to dive deeper and further into these topics, and hopefully we'll learn along the way together. So thank you for tuning into the first episode, and we will be back with a guest. I don't know who that guest is going to be yet, but we'll have a guest on soon. Thank you. Bye.